Telling our stories is the connective tissue of the collective human experience. The Just Keep Talking podcast delves into the lives and stories of artists. What is the impact of mental health on creativity? What does it mean to be a creative individual? Someone who feels deeply, experiences joy and pain intensely, and navigates the challenges of life through the creative process. With each story shared, we explore the authentic experience of our basic need to be seen, to be heard, and to belong. We're really not so different from one another, nor are we alone. Together, we can inspire, encourage, and enlighten each other to find the true joy and fulfillment that is within ourselves. When we just keep talking, we create the space for gratitude, self-acceptance, and grace in everyday life. In a world filled with divisiveness, fostering inclusivity and connection is a powerful way to make a positive impact. The Just Keep Talking podcast with me, Brother Love, because your story matters.
And my friends stole my sweetheart from me. And I remember that night in the Tennessee waltz. Now I know just how much I have lost. Yeah, I lost my little darling the night they were playing the beautiful Tennessee waltz.
That was Chris Housman, country music singer, singing Tennessee Waltz. Chris Housman and I recorded this interview back in August of 2023. But you know, life happens. The messages are still the same. We all crave and need and yearn to be seen, to be heard, and to belong. Since the interview, Chris released a full-length album called Blue Neck. He's been touring all over the country. My wife, the famous Sarah Tomek, plays drums with him very often. And Chris has a new single coming out on June 20th called Hiding Something. It'll be available on all platforms, wherever you find your music. I hope you enjoy this episode with Chris Housman, country music singer. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Housman.
Larry, it's so good to be here with you. Good morning.
You are a country music artist. You are a singer-songwriter. You are a person who writes songs and sings them.
That's correct.
So when you refer to like, oh, it's early in the morning, like, do you go to sessions? We work in the studio. I've been on sessions as a producer. I've been on sessions as the artist. I've been on sessions as a side person. And somebody comes in and goes, oh, I can't sing. Oh, my voice, it's so early, the yada yada, the why I can't, the disclosure. That's what it is,
Yeah.
right? I guess allergies are talking to me today. And so Nashville is allergy central.
Yes.
Right? You're from Kansas.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like over there.
Not allergy central.
Not allergy central. And I'm from New York City. And I don't know. If you get an allergy, you beat the shit out of it. You know what I mean? That's it. You walk away. Allergy. Gah! Nashville, they're kicking our butts left and right. What I think is that Nashville allergies are the reasons why country music sounds the way it does. I am convinced when Willie Nelson came to Nashville, Tennessee, he sounded like Elvis. They're like, we have an Elvis. And he just hung around and he started sneezing. And he said, maybe I should go home and rest. And then he sounded like that, you know, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa. The allergies make the country music what it is today.
Hot take. I love that.
Right?
Wow. Damn, I'm mind blown right now.
Right.
Frank Sinatra could never in the South.
Frank Sinatra could never in the South. Yes, for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons why Frank Sinatra could not South.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's the name of this episode. Frank Sinatra could never South. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm in your house.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I love this. This is beautiful. I'm finally in one of these tall and skinnies in East Nashville where we live. And by the way, thanks for living so close to my house.
Oh, yeah.
I said, this is fantastic. So basically, a lot of our lots where houses are, what do you call it, properties, people buy the house, they don't care about the house, the property is valuable. So they knock the house down, and instead of having one big house or one medium-sized house or one small house, they put up two houses. We call them tall and skinnies. You are living in a gorgeous house. You share a wall with your neighbor. I would be like, nope. They'd be like, we'll knock $50,000 off this house. I'd be like, I'm not sharing a wall. I lived in an apartment. I'm a New York City guy. I grew up in a 3-bedroom house in Queens. We had sidewalks and buses to go to the trains. I could walk 10 minutes to the pizza place. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, I wasn't in the sticks, but I was not in city, walk mode. I moved into the East Village of Manhattan as an adult, lived on East 5th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue, a 5-floor walk up. Every wall except the ceiling, because I was on the top floor, was somebody else's wall too. I lived a lifetime with that. You get used to it. I had a girlfriend that lived with me for a little while, and her name was Little Lisa. Her name still is Lisa. They called her Little Lisa. She was short, and she was a soprano. She had a gorgeous voice, and she would practice in that apartment. My apartment was 380 square feet. I could touch the ceiling. I found out later on by visiting another person's apartment that their ceilings were way higher. It's like they got to my apartment on the 5th floor and they said, we're done. They put a ceiling that's like, maybe 6'1", meaning I could touch it. I'm like 5'7.5". On a good day with my hair, I'm like 5'8". So my old girlfriend, Lisa, she would sing and I would lose my mind because what a beautiful voice, but I had to leave. I would run out and everybody, neighbors, the landlord, everybody would be like, oh, I just love it. I love it when Lisa sings. I'm like, well, then you go up there and hang out. I got to get out of here, man. By the way, she sang beautifully. It was just the quarters were small.
And soprano, too, that like echoes at a different level.
Oh, yeah. It kills you. It kills you dead. Yeah. So speaking of kill dead, are you okay with your neighbors that you share a wall with?
Yeah, so far so good, and it's been a few years. I haven't heard them yet, so that helps.
You haven't heard them yet?
No, not at all. They've probably heard me singing in the shower and stuff, but they seem to be relatively quiet people, so far so good.
I have this picture in my head, like 1950s America. You go out in the morning and you have your bathrobe on and your pipe, and you're in your slippers on, and you walk out to get the newspaper, and you say, "Morning, Donald." "Morning, Chris." They're right here. So do you see them in the...
I see them. I do a lot of front porch sitting on my little front porch. There's a shared kind of front yard thing. And so I see them in that kind of mailbox to and fro and a little hello. That's about the extent of it. And that's fine. They're nice people. Actually, weirdly, it's a couple, a gay couple. And one of the husbands was born in the same small town that I was born in.
Really?
Dodge City, Kansas. So wild. We're of different generations, but we know all the same places and stuff. So we talk about that a lot.
Dodge City, Kansas.
Yep.
So where in relation to anything that anybody would know about Kansas?
Oh, gosh. Nearest place with like a hospital that you would actually want to go to where they have actual doctors and such, but that's also the nearest Walmart. But I grew up in a town like 30, 40 minutes from there, Hanston, Kansas, which is a town of 200 people. So it sounds like the opposite of where you grew up. You had neighbors every direction except up. Meanwhile, our neighbors were half a mile down the road.
Wow. Was it a big piece of property?
Oh my gosh. A few thousand acres. Yeah.
Did you live on a farm?
Yep. Grew up on a farm. Literally a few thousand acres.
A few thousand?
Yeah.
Was the acreage used for anything? Did it just sit there? Did you just stare at it?
Just some scenery. Honestly, a lot of it felt that way because there's just so much land and there's so few people to own the land and do things with it. We grew corn, wheat, soybeans, Milo, and had a cattle farm as well. So we had usually around like 200 head of cattle that roamed around on the pastures. It's a lot.
Are you a farmer? Can you farm?
I guess I can kind of farm. I didn't really appreciate it as much growing up because that was like chores, going and moving pipe was a big one. And it's just
moving pipe. Now, where I come from, laying pipe means something very different. Okay. Well, moving pipe. What does that mean? Moving pipe. It sounds like city work, not farm work.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
really
I guess
does.
the water's got to get somewhere.
Yeah, for irrigating the crops because it definitely doesn't rain that much either. And we were kind of not like poor, like the fancy farmers and the rich farmers have like sprinkler systems. I mean, it's like attached to basically a computer and they wheel around the crops and sprinkle everything, I guess. But the old fashioned, the poor people way is moving pipe. You take big like metal pipes and you hook them up to a well. And then you just kind of connect them. And it's kind of like Legos. Just connect them and then turn the well on once everything's connected. And then it waters the crops.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So things could go south quickly in the South, anywhere. So I want to know who I can count on. Like, all right, Chris, well, he knows how to lay pipe.
Lay some pipe.
He can lay some pipe. We're going to his house.
Yeah.
Wow, I came in as a sex party going on. We were just trying to irrigate. Just thought he was a crop man. Oh, my God. I just know a few places in Kansas. I've been to Wichita.
Okay, yeah.
And it scared the shit out of me. I was playing in the country rock band, the band that moved me to Nashville, and we were touring. I remember it was a real like dance hall honky tonk place we were playing. The motel was like right next door. There was blood and bullet holes, like not just one room of ours. Like, hey, you got blood in yours? Yeah, I got in my shower. I have bullet holes. Oh, I've got blood in mine. Oh, well, cool. All right, we're gonna be all right. I just remember being like, okay, this is weird. This is freaky. Kansas is very flat. It just goes on forever. Pennsylvania is sort of similar that way. If you're just going east to west or west west to east. It's a lot as a traveling musician.
Oh my gosh. And at least Pennsylvania has some trees.
That's true.
Yeah, Kansas, not so much. I actually heard that Kansas is actually flatter than a pancake. They like scaled some dimensions and found that a pancake usually has a little curve, you know, a little roundness.
If you know how to make a good pancake, it's going to have a little fluff.
And Kansas doesn't have a lot of fluff.
No fluff.
Yeah.
I do remember another time that we showed up somewhere in Kansas. We got out of the band, and the band that I was in was all from New York. I remember Obama had just been elected president. The owner of the club just sat, he smoked a cigar and had a big hat on. He didn't look at us at all. He didn't say, we are so gracious. Thank you. We're so happy to play. We can't wait. Thank you. You're hiring us to play music. We get to do what we love. And he didn't stare at us. He just said with his cigar, just don't be bringing any of that Obama bullshit up in here. And we said, okay, sir. All right. Thank you so much.
Sounds about right.
So we knew we weren't going to fit in. Right. We knew we weren't going to fit in because we weren't going to change in order to fit into what was going on there. I think you understand what I'm saying.
I can relate.
You can relate.
Yeah.
So you've spent a lifetime of trying to fit in. You are a country music singer, songwriter. You are gay.
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like I'm coming over here. I'm like, I don't want that to be the whole thing about you because that's not entirely who you are.
Right.
But you have garnered a lot of attention lately. It's one of the reasons why I know you because you are visibly out there more so than before. I didn't know who you were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My wife, Sarah, has played some shows with you.
Yeah, love
You're
Sarah.
Great. You write great songs. You've done a lot during Pride Week you played, CMA Fest. CMA Fest finally had a Pride stage. Was that at the Hard Rock?
Yeah, in front of the Hard Rock Cafe, the
Right.
Hard Rock stage.
I played the Hard Rock stage, and it was miserable because it was 1,000 degrees out.
Yeah.
CMA Fest was always the day that, like, God said, now's going to be hot in Nashville. Like, the day before CMA Fest is like, it's sort of temperate. It's okay. It's still spring. No. CMA Fest day one, 1,000 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
And we were just carrying gear. Like, it was just 10, 12 years ago. Now, all of a sudden, the Hard Rock stage, it was your stage.
Yeah, yeah.
We're talking about fitting in, and we're talking about the difference between fitting in, which is how you change who you are. You sort of tap dance who you are. You become like other people. You become like somebody else. I'm going to be a country singer. I'm gay, but I got to fit in, man.
Yeah.
So, all right, I got the outfit. I got the hat. I write the songs. Did you act the part to fit in to this world of country music that predominantly favored heterosexuality?
Yeah, absolutely. I spent a lot of years doing that. And with my upbringing, you nailed it on don't want that to be the whole thing, but it is a huge part of me. And it took a long time for me to even get comfortable with coming to terms with that myself. I grew up doing country music, and of course, sexuality wasn't even so much on my radar at the time as far as involving that with music or career. But then I spent about the first 10 years of Nashville trying to fit in, trying to blend in. It's funny. I've always thought it was ironic that camouflage is such a thing in country music. And I felt like that was kind of what I was trying to do.
What do you mean camouflage? Like clothing, like the print that we wear in the army to fit in.
Right, exactly.
To blend.
It's a blend it. And it's funny, like I've always thought that was ironic because so many people, I mean, I'm not much of a camouflage person. I'm more of a tie-dye, I guess. But I've always thought that was ironic that there's all these people wearing camo. And it's like, oh, yeah, you guys are literally trying to just blend in and all look the same and do the same thing. And even the songs I was writing, you know, I wanted to sound like everything else on the radio if I wanted to be successful. So that meant me writing songs about girls, even if that wasn't true to my own experience or my identity.
That's been going on for a long time, right?
Sure.
You just change he to she to he. There you go.
Easy. Cool.
But you're still trying to be a country artist, right? Your sexuality has nothing to do with it because you're just writing songs.
Yeah.
What I love is when America just figures out, like, you know how many people love Liberace? You know how many people are like, why can't you marry a nice man like Liberace? You know what I mean? I got grandmothers who say, he plays the piano, he's so nice, he's got a smile. Because he doesn't want to marry me, Ma. I'm a woman. You know?
Right.
What do you mean? Oh, it's just so funny. And by the way, with the camo thing, to get back to it, they all fit in on the camo thing. You know what happened with the camo when they all took the World War II and Vietnam and all that camo? You know what happened when they went to Iraq? They got killed because they didn't fit in. They had to change the outfit. They said, shit, this isn't going to work. We're sticking out like a sore thumb here. We're getting our asses killed.
Yeah.
Because the old camo, the old way of fitting in didn't work. You had to figure out a new way to blend, which is what we all do all the time. Figuring out another way to blend. Oh, this tan outfit you look great in tan. Yeah, I look great. You know why I look great? Because I'm alive right now. Because I look like sand. That's why I'm alive. That's the part of fitting in that keeps you alive. It's got to be different now than it was 5 years ago. It's got to be different now than maybe it was 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Because I think the best artists, the most successful artists, and I don't even mean monetarily, I mean somebody that people admire. The reasons why we admire you, Chris Housman, is because you know who you are. The reasons why we really like somebody is because they know who they are.
Yeah.
Right? I've known you for less than a year. And I've seen from knowing you from day one to today, you're more comfortable in your own skin.
So much more comfortable. Yeah.
You know who you are. And that, I think, is growth. That's human growth. It's humanity. It's spiritual growth.
Yeah.
But do you have moments where you literally can see now you'll have a choice, A or B, basically fitting in? Like the whole gang is over to the left and doing something. And you're like, no, I don't think I need to do that. I don't want to be a part of that. You know, I don't want to be sycophant, and I don't want to do things for the wrong reason. I have integrity. Does that happen to you?
Yeah, it does. And it's wild to me. I've spent a lot of time, really in the last 3 years. I think 2020 gave us all this opportunity to zoom out, take a break, look at what really matters and what doesn't. Once you've achieved some level of self-identity, it's hard to set that aside again. Even if you've done that plenty of times before, it's hard to compromise self once you've achieved that to some extent. I mean, we're all trying to constantly achieve that more and more all the time. I don't even regret the years that I spent in writing rooms, basically closeted in every room. But now I can't imagine myself walking into a writing session not having it be known that I'm queer. And it's not even that I have to walk in and say, hey, I'm Chris, I'm gay. What song do we want to write? But that's naturally going to come up at some point, even if we're just catching up on life. Me talking about an ex-boyfriend. I just can't imagine going back and compromising myself like that now that I've known and feel how good it feels to not do that.
Right. Writing is what Nashville is really all about. I go to co-writes, and it's the scariest thing in the world to go somewhere where you might not know the person or people at all. You might know them like you met them at the bar and said, hey, we should write.
Yeah, you know, I like that one song you
know,
did.
let's write. And then you get in the room with he or she or them or whatnot. And like, I have a panic attack every time. I'm like, please, Lord, let them cancel. Yeah. I suck. I'm a fraud. I'm a piece of garbage. Alex and I will co-write with people, and I don't play guitar. I understand music and I hear music. I can sing you every part, meaning instrument-wise, of a song if it's in my head. I'd be like, yeah, if you don't mind, can you play the drums like boom, and the bass goes doo, 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 and the guitar, and they go, oh, you know, and let's just try it. And nor am I poetic in any way. Alex is my writing partner for the most part for them vibes, and he plays guitar, and he's the poetic guy. I mean, we both have our strengths and weaknesses. But like I said, I just want to fall into the floor and drop dead. I hate co-writing, but we've gotten great songs out of it because it's about being in the moment. It's about being honest. It's about being vulnerable.
So vulnerable.
Do you enjoy co-writing?
I do, yeah, I really do. And it took me a long time because it feels like one of the most vulnerable things you can do. And it's also really scary in another way that like took me a long time to get past that I'm still kind of trying to do, but is you could have an idea that you're so excited about and it's so important to you, and then bringing that in a room with people you don't know, barely know, or you could know them so well,
right?
And but bringing that like, you know, child that of yours into a room, and that's a whole other side of the vulnerability. But I've gotten better at letting go of that. A lot of that took me getting comfortable or making sure I'm in rooms where I'm comfortable to say, hey, I'm sorry, I appreciate that idea or direction, but this is so important to me. I was really hearing it going this way. And when I'm in the right rooms, that's going to work every time. If this is for me as an artist, kind of have that last little veto stamp.
Yeah, good for you.
It took me a long time to get there.
And I got to learn from that because I'll be like, yeah, this idea. And then what happens a lot of times is you hear nothing.
Yeah.
It's like silence. And then somebody goes, well, how about we try this? And you go, I suck. I'm terrible. Shame, 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 shame. I'm a fool. You know, just fall into zero. And then you're not in the moment. Yeah. Then you're not vulnerable. And I missed the opportunity to work on whatever we're going to work on.
Oh, yeah.
Just because my idea didn't hit home to you doesn't mean it's a terrible idea. It just means that it didn't resonate with you.
Yeah.
You know, of course, right now, I know all of this.
Yeah, right. I'm the same way of like, I can hear all these things musically in my head, and I dabble in several instruments, but I've mastered none. And a lot of the instruments I play are kind of useless for writing songs.
Well, like, I disagree. Like what?
Well, like fiddle.
Crazy.
Fiddle upright.
By the way, the fiddle used to be in country music.
Yeah, it
remember
used to.
that?
Yeah, I do.
When was the last time you heard a fiddle in country music?
I don't know. I need to incorporate it back into my music.
They got to learn to do drop D version of fiddle.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like metal fiddle. Oh, please. You know what? Actually, there was a time when in country music, because it was like during like real serious bro country. Like when Jason Aldean first hit hard and like...
Florida Georgia Line.
Yeah. Basically, what I learned in country music was that a lot of the players hired to play with all these big country stars were ex-metal guitar players. A well-rounded musician will say, well, where's the money at, right? That's well-rounded.
Yeah.
I'm a fool. I'm an artist who says, I'm going to do my art and be poor, but I'll do it for me. So it's not an idiot necessarily, but I understood that all of a sudden a lot of people that were writing, playing the music, to me, it sounded like 80s or 90s or 2000. It sounded like butt rock, which I love. But I was like, wow, they're just putting country music to this. And I'm like, oh, that's where it was. So the guitar tunings, you had that low E string drop down. So you had that low bottom bass, you had that real heavy rock thing.
Yeah.
But every violin player, fiddle player, had this little faux hawk or a mohawk and like a chain wallet. And I just thought, oh my gosh. Because for me, I was like, well, that was never my look because I have a little Jew fro. It was almost like the standard typical thing. And this is the days where everybody had that little eyeliner and all. I mean, but I thought to myself, this is like metal, but it was country music.
Yeah.
As whatever it is, it is. But I just thought, wow, they were able to bring that sensibility because people love to rock, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
But the fiddle players, they've lost their work. Yeah. There's no fiddle.
Out of work, yeah,
Where's the
exactly.
fiddle? Where's the fiddle?
Mine's been in my closet.
So bring it out to a session when you're writing a song.
Yeah. Look at like Devil Went Down to Georgia, the solo in that. That would be a great electric guitar solo.
They could put that song away for about 20 years. Don't you think there should be a vault?
Yeah.
I worked karaoke at Santa's Pub for a while. Yeah. There are songs like Devil Went Down to Georgia. You put them in a vault, like half of Elton John's catalog. No offense. You know what? He'll write a new one tomorrow, and it'll be great. There's so many of these songs. Just put them away. 5 years. And then 5 years from now, you'll open the vault up. You'll be like, wow, I love The Devil Went Down. Wow, man. Oh, my gosh. Fantastic.
Like
Gosh.
what Disney does with their movies.
Yeah, for sure. So the stuff that you have released, you've just released a new song. Am I correct? Laid Back?
Correct. Yeah.
Did you co-write that song?
Yep, co-wrote that with some of my favorites that I've written probably over 100 songs with, Emily Kroll and Christian Wood. And that's an example of pretty straightforward, feel-good country song because I've kind of got this reputation in the last few years, which I love, and those are my favorite songs to write, are the ones that are saying something other people in country music aren't willing to say. Or
Like what?
This song, Blue Neck, that I put out in 2021, wrote it over Zoom.
Was that a co-write?
And that was also a
No,
co-write.
you zoomed yourself. That's what Zoom means, Larry. He's with somebody else.
This song, honestly, I had the idea for while tripping on mushrooms the year before, full disclosure.
So take us there.
Yeah, let's go there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So what was it like? You were on mushrooms. Was it a big, heavy trip?
It was like a above average, medium heavy, like a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10.
You were tripping on mushrooms to basically get nuts, to while out or to let go. There are mushroom takers, myself being one, where microdosing has helped with my mental health issues. Mushrooms are the great connectors.
Absolutely.
There's fantastic documentaries, fantastic fungi.
Yes,
Is
love
it fungi or fungi?
So I think
Right.
fungi is the actual word, and I've been saying it wrong
That
the
makes
whole time.
sense because you know what? I'm a fun guy.
Yeah.
But I'm no fungi.
And we're all connected like they are, but not, not under the ground.
Right.
Like-
But it's true. People are learning more and more, and there's more research in psilocybin. And the fact of the matter is, it literally reconnects some brain stuff. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
that's as scientific as I got. It
Exactly.
connects some brain stuff. I know that for people who are terminally ill and they're facing the end or the beginning, however you want to look at it, it helps them cope with death. I know that it's helped me for relaxing my anxieties and my stresses in life. Drugs get a bad rap because sometimes they should. Some of them, you know what I mean? I love doing cocaine and hanging out all night. And I love that, but I don't do that
Right.
anymore. But what I got out of that was a good time. I lost a lot of money because I bought more.
Yeah.
But I'm alive, thank goodness. So when you were doing mushrooms, was it a party kind of scenario?
No, and it never has been for me. I really got into it in 2020 with that opportunity. I had done mushrooms with a friend before, but this was my first time acquiring mushrooms for myself. Right. And a week into quarantine, sitting on my beautiful patio on a gorgeous spring day, eating these mushrooms and like unlocking all these things and, feeling like I got more out of one trip than I did in years of therapy. I felt like I unlocked something.
What did you unlock? Because that's exactly what I've seen and read in documentaries and books, which is the pills and the medicine that we're supposed to buy and the therapy and all that. God bless, right? We
Yeah.
all want to feel better about our lives. But there's a reality that is psilocybin. Psilocybin in one dose has been able to take care of a lot of people's mental health that lasts for a long time. I don't mean to cut you off, but when you say it unlocked.
Yeah, I read this book, Entangled Life, all about fungi. I think Melvin Shandrake. I could be getting the author wrong, but just finished that pretty recently. It's more scientific and not just about psychedelic mushrooms and psilocybin, but also fungi in general. That was really fascinating. Highly recommend that. But my understanding is you're going to get a different experience. Some people love mushrooms for partying and going out to a dance thing, and that's not me. I honestly prefer to do them by myself and a safe amount and stuff, But as far as unlocking, my experience has been that I can have thoughts and my mind can go places that it can't when you're just limited to the constructs and the physics and the thoughts that you've been accustomed to having for your whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, I got over some family stuff just kind of in my head. And so my favorite thing to do is just sit on my front porch or a patio in the safe space of a home if I need to, I forgot something or I need to drink water. Yeah. Have a notebook, a little speaker with music playing, and my phone hidden kind of from myself. Maybe a guitar, but I rarely touch the guitar. But it's there in case I need.
Yeah.
And like,
set up the
comfy
vibe, man.
Oh, set up the vibe. I really like walking around my neighborhood and stuff to bring it back to music, I guess. And because I did it a lot in 2020, putting a lot of thought into all the stuff with George Floyd and unpacking my own experiences and stereotypes from growing up in a very white, conservative small town. So a lot of stuff with my family. I went from extremely atheist to, I almost hate the word spiritual. It can sound cliche, but
It's not cliche at all. I don't
okay,
believe.
great. I'm not saying 100% like, I ate a mushroom and then all of a sudden I'm spiritual. But from having those thoughts and experiences, even things you see, again, probably sounds cliche, but looking at trees and being like, oh, they're breathing right now. I remember one time just laying in this field of grass on a blanket and I could feel the earth breathing.
Yeah.
And that type of stuff. But, it sounds fun and trippy, but it sticks with you after that.
And why does that stick with you?
I think, and it's not, of course, going to be the same experience for everybody, but I think that resonated with me because that's always been in me to know that, or believe that's reality. But then when you experience something, that can't be taken away from me once I've felt that. Of course, it's going to be intensified when you're tripping, but I'll never forget that feeling, and that was a real experience.
Would you say that the feeling was a feeling of connection?
Absolutely.
Isn't that what so much of life is about? Isn't that what we're striving for? Do you suffer from depression?
I wouldn't say that I do, but I've experienced it, but it's not a regular thing. Yeah.
He's like, depression. I'm gay. I got to come out. I'm in country music.
Yeah.
I don't need depression. I got other
No.
things to worry about. Jeez, I got to try to write songs and try to make a living here. Depression. Oh, yeah, I got no time for that. But connection.
Yeah. But I definitely have suffered, I think, as most, if not all of us do, looking for connection being one of the main things you're ever looking for,
Right.
Whether that be a connection with a parent, a family member, a friend, or lover, or a tree.
the earth.
Literally, yeah. And then, actually, we've all got connection. We just don't always have the tools to see it, or we're not taught it. So,
Because we're taught to think about what do I need to do to get to the future? And the only tools that I may have is to rely on the thoughts of the past. And so wherein lies the now?
we're not taught about it.
We're not taught about the now. Right now, where there is no thought, there's just now. Like we're having a conversation. And, this isn't frou-frou weird stuff.
Yeah.
It's
not.
like true creation happens. Imagine if you're having open heart surgery. You want that surgeon to be right there now.
Yeah.
If they start thinking about, gosh, I have a car payment that I forgot about. They're not in the now.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you ever notice that you cut yourself doing something dumb or you fall and you go, I don't even remember what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
It's the power of now. I've been reading Eckhart Tolle. I love this book, The Power of Now. And it really has transformed my way of thinking because I need to be connected to now.
Yeah.
Because if I'm connected to now, then I'm not worried about things. Because it's so funny to read this. It's like, if you're really in the moment, what are you worrying about? And I'm like, well, I have plenty of things to worry about. well, that's not the now. I'm worried about the future.
Yeah, we jump to the future so
Right.
easily, or
Yeah.
the past. I was just in a co-write last week. One of my co-writers, I'm probably going to butcher the quote exactly, but she said something like, thoughts about the past bring up depression, thoughts about the future bring up anxiety, just
Yeah.
naturally. And that was naturally brought up because we were writing, I had this idea to write this song that we're so busy dreaming about tomorrow that we're sleeping on today. And that's the song we wrote. And it was cool. I was like, I guarantee we're the only country people in Nashville writing this song today.
See, there's where I think you're wrong. We're the only people, because therein lies a lack of connection.
Yeah.
Because what I'm hoping for, I don't mean to be, you're wrong.
No,
I'm
no,
literally
please
pointing
do.
my finger at you right
Please
now. This is
point
horrible,
away.
right?
I love it.
You're wrong. Yeah. No, but hopefully, I mean, here's the deal. As a writer, as an artist, you want to be like, here's the song that people are going to, wow, nobody's done this before. None of us are recreating the wheel. But that moment of honesty that you had with your co-writer is something that cannot be reproduced in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And hopefully, what I believe is a collective consciousness, a connective collective consciousness, connection, that in the next room, maybe somebody else is writing about connection.
Yeah.
I like the way you're thinking, man.
Yeah.
That's what I want to emulate. You know what I mean?
That's so true. It's not like I went in there and brought up this idea and they were like, oh, that's weird. No, they were super down and they loved it and they had these common things to contribute. So I love that. Thank you for calling me out on that. And
You're welcome. This is being in the moment. This is
Yeah.
creating.
Yeah.
So getting back to, you were on mushrooms.
Yeah.
And you wrote Blue Neck.
Yes.
A song called Blue Neck. What happened that Blue Neck came about? Because it must have been a light bulb moment. You're on mushrooms and something. So tell me, because the lyrics, I enjoy them. So
Oh, good.
explain
Thank
to
you.
me.
So again, I have specifically a mushroom notebook. I wrote down in that song about being a liberal redneck. I draw a lot of arrows. I drew an arrow and wrote blue neck ? And circled it a bunch. A few days later, looking through that notebook, and where did I go? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, of course, I remembered everything, but not every single thought like that. And then I saw that, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. That's really cool." And then it made the transfer from my notebook to my phone notes, where I keep my ongoing list of song ideas and titles. I just wrote, Blue Neck and song about being a liberal redneck. And then it was months later that I brought that up over a Zoom call, a co-writing session, and it really wasn't until I heard one of the co-writers, Tommy, who's a producer writer, we found it best to use tracks over Zoom writing. He had this track idea that sounded very mainstream country, Florida, Georgia line.
Yeah.
Bro country.
Let's go, man. Let's
and
go.
I was like, okay. And he is just a wonderful mind and person. The other person in the virtual room writing session is a friend of mine who's also queer, and she's a beautiful lyricist, and we'd written a few songs together. I knew that they would probably be willing to go there with me. So I was like, okay, y'all, I have this crazy idea. Hear me out. Blue Neck and blah, blah, blah. I had some other lyric ideas with that, but they were totally down to go there. And
What's the lyric?
so the hook of that is like...
It's not like. It
oh, yeah, it is.
It is. Like a second grade teacher.
Right. The hook of it is, yeah, I guess I'm a red state blue neck. And after saying just kind of a bunch of values, the chorus starting, I'm a good old boy with a bleeding heart, just a homegrown hick with a hybrid car, and kind of taking a lot of these common, very country, validating my countryness.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to validate my countryness.
I wanted to get across this undeniable thing, like, why can't country people have a little more open-minded values and stuff as well? The bridge literally says, can't a country kid want to see the glass ceiling shatter, want to see a world where Black Lives Matter?
Yeah.
We went there, and they were down every step of the way. I wanted to write the song that I wish I heard growing up. Yeah.
You love country music, and you wrote a country song. It's incredible, right? Country music. I mean, they've figured out so many ways, the geniuses, the masters, about how to look at things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
That's all we're trying to do. Like Woman Scorned will somehow figure out that man, that son of a bitch, cheated on me, steps out, embarrasses me, but that's my man.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
you give him a pass. You know what I mean? There's ways of looking at life. That's what it means to create art. All I know is through the glasses that I'm looking through or the eyes that I see. Maybe there's some other angles, and that's what you did. You wrote something from just another perspective.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite things about country, and always has been, and especially the songwriting process is, there's so many words, and especially in country, it feels like a word bank of things, but piecing them, puzzle piecing them together in a way that maybe haven't heard before. I love it. And country's always been great about that. And not just country, of course, that's songwriting in general, but saying common experiences in a way that just makes a little light bulb go off or makes you feel seen is really the goal.
That's been sort of the theme about what I've been talking about with this show. I really believe wholeheartedly that every single one of us is craving to be seen, to be heard, and to belong.
Yeah.
And there's the distinction between fitting in, which is what we talked about, and belonging. Do you feel like you belong? Belonging, as far as I can tell. I've been reading a lot of Brene Brown, by the way.
Love Brene.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So you're going to hear a lot of these themes, folks, when you listen. I didn't just come up with this stuff. But collectively, as a consciousness, we need this. And Brene Brown has been talking to me. She whispers in my ear all the time. Yeah. She doesn't seem like a whisperer, though, which I love. But we want to be seen. We want to be heard. And we want to belong. Do you feel like now you are feeling like you belong because you are being seen, you're being heard, people are loving your music, you've had some success? There's a documentary called How Queer Artists Have Revolutionized the Music Industry.
Yeah.
How do you feel in terms of belonging and being seen and being heard now?
Well, it is nice to, and I can truly say for the first time, I'd say in the last year or 2 years, knowing that I belong as opposed to just seeking that or wondering or questioning. And
be seen, be heard, belong.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
love it.
Not bad, huh?
It's great.
Yeah, I wrote that down with my own magic marker. Yeah.
Nice. It's nice truly knowing that we all belong.
Right.
And then I love that it's so validating too and like refreshing and gives me so much hope. We all have come to these similar and same conclusions from different angles. And for me, it's been a lot of these podcasts that I listen to about consciousness and stuff.
Yeah.
There's so many ways, and it takes just living in the now, which is a hard thing to do. But if you can do that, that's proof that you belong.
Is it cool with you that you're being seen, being heard, belonging because of being gay?
Yeah.
Does that bother you?
It doesn't. It doesn't. I would be foolish to not recognize that that's a large part of the reason why things have changed. And it's not a coincidence that these cool things that have happened in the last few years have also happened when I was more authentically myself. There's too many things for that to be a coincidence.
Right. Because you're not just a box to be checked off. Because that's what happens now, as you know.
Yeah, it does. And there's definitely some things that, okay, maybe this opportunity was a little bit performative, but hey, it gives me a chance to perform. As long as I'm entering those spaces and those opportunities with keeping in mind that I'm going to be 100% authentically myself, then that's not a bad thing. I think we're all striving to get to where that isn't performative and it's just like, people just know me because of the music or that song or the voice. But there's definitely some progress to be made first, and it takes these things.
All right, so tell me who else is gay that nobody knows about.
Oh,
I'm
my
totally
gosh.
kidding. I'm joking. Are you? No, I'm joking. You mentioned therapy. Are you still in therapy?
I'm not. Honestly, a lot of that had to do with I used to work at a 9-to-5 and had really good insurance and stuff. Tried a bunch of different therapists in the 4.5 years I was there, and even some after. I got some good tools and lessons from that, but truly 2020 and like mushrooms and listening to these things and getting into meditation.
So you meditate?
Yeah. Try to do it in my head, when I'm doing well, I do it every day, even if 10 to 20 minutes. And then, of course, I go through phases of doing great and doing poorly. But I'm a big fan of sensory deprivation float tanks. I don't know if you've ever done
never done that.
I can't recommend it enough.
Do you have to go somewhere or can you make your own?
It'd be awesome to make your own, but...
So what does that look like?
So it kind of looks like a little spaceship. Okay. I go to this place, Float Nashville. I think it was kind of the OG in Nashville. It's just a little tank. I know the concept can be scary for some people, but it's a little tank. I'd say it's like 6'2" long.
So it's about 6 feet long.
6 feet long and then maybe 4 feet wide. And a heavily salted tank that just like is
What if
pitch
I have
black.
high blood pressure? Salt's not good for me.
I think you'd be fine. I don't know if it enters the...
It's filled with water?
Filled with heavily salted water.
So
is all it is.
So in other words, it's salted so that way you don't drown, right?
Yeah.
You're floating.
You're floating. You're naked. That's fun.
So you're floating in a coffin filled with water. This could not sound more terrifying. This is
good way to put it.
terrifying. A coffin filled with salt water.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep, that's it.
So go on.
You float.
It's dark.
Dark.
No
pitch
music?
black, no music.
So it's
Yeah,
just pitch black, quiet, salt
just
bath.
nothingness. Yeah.
Nothingness. And
Yeah.
for how long is this nothingness go on?
Yeah,
It
there's
could-
a-
hey, if you don't play your cards right, if you don't know how to swim, like I don't know how to swim, it goes on
That's-
forever.
yeah, it's as long as you want.
Who forgot to add the salt? Oh, he's dead. Okay. So how long are you in there for?
60 to 90 minutes. I do 90-minute floats.
How often do you do this?
I try to go I have a membership now because I'm such a
Oh,
fan.
Float Nashville, a membership.
Yeah,
It's
membership.
gonna be good to give gifts for.
Oh, absolutely.
How often do you go?
About once a month. Yeah.
Once a month. And are you face up?
Yeah, face up.
Do you have like a straw, a snorkel,
No
just in
snorkel.
case?
You're floating just enough to where like your ears are underwater, but your nose and mouth are above water, and you have earplugs, so nothing's going in your.
What about
ears.
pruning? What about you get out of there, your skin is like a prune.
Not too bad.
You get out, you look like you're 138 years
Yeah.
old, or you're like you're in another dimension.
Yeah, that is more likely, I think, to happen.
So that's been therapeutic for you.
So therapeutic. Even just that feels like 10 years of therapy. And maybe I just never made the right connections or had the right therapist or whatever. But like I said, I still am not trying to take any value out of therapy and stuff. But I think therapy, a broad term, this is therapy to me. Finding the therapeutic thing that works best for you could be different for everybody. I've gotten over a toxic ex that I was completely torn up about months after breaking up.
Really?
Got over that in a float session, and I did microdose mushrooms on that one as well. And,
Wow.
And I don't always do that. I could have done it totally sober as well. And actually, I usually do that.
You drink, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. You have healed to some degree.
Yeah. I've unpacked family stuff. And then sometimes it's just like, I had a whole chorus of a song drop into my head while I was in the float tank. I
And
feel
do you
like-
remember? Do you see?
Oh,
That's why you
yeah.
need your tape recorder. You need a recorder.
Right. But not to get all weird, but like you reach a theta state in your brain.
what state?
Theta state. So
Theta? Spell it.
Theta. Theta.
Theta.
Like the Greek letter
Okay, yeah,
thing,
it's
I
a
guess.
letter.
But yeah.
That's-
yeah.
So there's alpha, beta.
Yeah. I don't know all that much about it, but I know there's like alpha, gamma. We reach delta state in sleep.
Wow,
Theta is the kind of in between waking and sleeping. It's really hard to get to under normal circumstances because usually, like, even if you're laying in a bed, you're physically stimulated by touching the bed.
Yeah,
So a theta state, like when you are kind of no longer using your nervous system in the float tank, the temperature of the water is really important too because
Jesus.
you can't tell where your body ends and where the water begins, and it feels like you could just be in space.
It
really.
feels like a panic attack to me. So you allowed to say, hello, person working this thing. If I scream, please let me out.
Yeah.
Do they say, haha, everybody says that, I won't? Will they let you out if you're screaming? Like, please get me out. I'm
they
having a
would.
panic attack.
Yeah, they totally would.
'Cause then I might try it.
Yeah, they totally would.
In the 1600s, they did that to cure you of your gayness,
Oh yeah. I tried to do that in a float tank too, and it didn't work.
Are you serious?
No, I'm just kidding.
No, by the way, completely joking. Somebody might listen to, man, that might work.
Yeah.
I wonder if that would work. My dad would really love it if I got into the tank and came out straight. Oh my God. It doesn't work that way, folks.
doesn't. No. Yeah, it really doesn't.
Well, your openness to want to heal yourself is really amazing.
I'll try about anything.
There's a quote here from Alan Cohen. I read this book called The Dragon Doesn't Live Here Anymore. Alan Cohen, page 240. Our strengths lie within us, and it is only our permission that can activate their expression. Our problem is not that we are weak, but that we do not believe that we are strong. I was thinking about you when I read that quote, because I feel like you have the ability to lift yourself up because you have the vulnerability to dig deep into who you are.
It's one of the hardest things that we could ever do. We seek so many outside resources and, pills and doctors and medicine and stuff. And again, not discrediting that whatsoever, but I've always been more interested in, instead of going out, going in.
Inside out,
Yeah.
baby. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Because that's what this show is about. So I have a few questions for you. I really appreciate your honesty. Simple stuff. What fascinates you?
I'm just constantly fascinated by consciousness in general. That's the number one consumer of my thoughts.
And takes up every breath. Consciousness, by the way, is like all the time.
Yeah.
It can be, but then unconsciousness, as I'm reading with this, The Power of Now, is when you're unconscious. It's Eckhart Tolle saying it's not necessarily being asleep or knocked out. It's not being in the moment.
We think of unconscious as like when we're asleep.
Right.
And then like you wake up and, we're conscious now. No, like not really. One of the podcast things I listened to, they did a massive survey. This institute did a massive survey, found that less than 5% of people said that they have thought about their own consciousness for more than 30 minutes in their entire lives.
Wow.
Less than 5%.
I know where you are with this because I would walk the streets of New York when I was in my 20s thinking, oh my God, I don't know what anything is. My heart was broken. I said, I don't know what love is. I don't know what life is. it was avoiding relationship, right? It was a sort of a mantra for me. And I realized because avoiding relationship in that moment for me meant not being in the now. I was avoiding relationship because everything is relationship.
Yeah.
So I would just be walking down the street and I would have a thought about this or that. I'd be like, oh, center myself, be conscious. It's a full-time, I don't want to say job, but the fact that that's what fascinates you is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you spend years like, well, what's going on? Well, I'm considering my consciousness, which is great.
Yeah.
What angers you, my friend?
That's of course I'm trying to get to a place where
Yeah, I know we're trying.
Yeah,
I know we're trying to be spiritual. It's hard.
Right.
It's hard to be
yeah,
like, this doesn't piss me off. But what is it that angers you that, yes, hopefully down the line won't
get
consume?
over.
Well, I don't know about get over, but understand.
Yeah.
Understand and say maybe I can't change these things, right?
Yeah.
They anger me.
Yeah.
Maybe I can change them. You know, maybe through the power of song you will, but I'm cutting you off. What angers you?
What angers me? I would say people that can so easily hate. It takes a lot of energy, actually, to hate. Unfortunately, it happens a lot in the country music genre.
What, you see a lot of hate?
I guess not so much in my own personal
Right.
experience, but I guess online, and there's songs that are like completely disguised and hateful toward entire communities of people, especially the tricky ones. The disguised ones are even worse because that's even more dangerous, because then a whole bunch of conservative rednecks in America are like, yeah, I'm feeling seen by this song.
Yes, it's breeding hate in a way that's disguised. It's not breeding connectivity, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not.
Right?
Yeah.
It's divisiveness.
Yeah. And I think the part that angers me and frustrates me is because I'm always kind of like, how can we help them see? And I don't ever want to sound like, I'm right, we're right, y'all are wrong.
Right.
But it really, if the objective is to love everyone and show this connectedness, like, you are wrong. And creating divisiveness is frustrating. Like, damn it, is there nothing that we can do? And that can make me angry.
Well, what brings you joy, my friend?
Oh,
what brings
man.
you joy, sir?
Conversations like this, feeling connected. For me, it's like walking around my neighborhood brings me joy. And it's like a direct proportion when I like am doing great, feeling great, in a good space mentally with mental health, and I'm spending time outside. And when I didn't have time to be outside or go on a walk today or sit on my porch, and I'm stressing about this and that, and it's
Not
just
being in the moment, huh?
not being in the moment.
Yeah, right on.
I like taking every day as kind of like a little adventure. I just hate too much repetition and just like going through the motions and feeling like a robot and what thing am I gonna do today?
Choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, you're allowed to write your story.
Yeah, you are. Sure.
If you could change one thing in the world, like you have a magic wand, I'm gonna fix this. Boom. Chris, you have the power right now. Blink your eye. This is fixed. This is different. This is changed.
I would say my answer now is different than what it used to be. I think if I could blink, things change would be for people to have the resources to not be starving to death and not live in systems of severe oppression. I think that would be the thing. And this is kind of contrary to what I was just talking about, world peace type thing, or for everybody to feel this connected, but then we would be out of balance. And that sounds great for everybody.
You're saying things that are altruistic without being what they would call a bleeding heart.
Yeah,
In a way,
yeah.
you're realistically altruistic.
Yeah. I love that. Realistically altruistic. But I think just the basic resources.
You're a human being. You should, and I don't use shoulds and shouldn'ts lightly. You're a human being. You should be able to eat. You should be able to have clean water. And if you need medicine or a doctor, you should. If you're having a baby, you should be able to have a healthy birth.
It seems, pretty simple and stuff, but that's not
good.
the reality for a lot of people.
Realistically altruistic is who you are. One last one. This is a
Great.
big one. Toilet paper, over or under?
Over.
My man.
Yeah.
Where can we find you, sir? Chris Housman, where do we find you? Give me all the things. You have
All
new
the
music.
things.
Tell me. Commercialize yourself.
All right. I'm working on my full-length album, getting in the
Is
studio.
it called
soon
My
to-
Life's Work?
It's not. It's actually going to be called Blue Neck. And thought about doing just the self-titled thing, but Blue Neck sums it up really well, I think. You can find me anywhere you stream music. I'm on TikTok a lot. That's where I've found a lot of my people and kind of changed my life.
So at where? You got to tell me.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Chris Housman Music. Yeah, I'm doing
Spell
it. Chris Housman. Housman's Housman. There's
Right.
no E in there. A lot of people think that.
Say,
That's
I'm a
fine.
floorman, no E. FL10.
Yeah.
But we're talking about you now. So
I'm
tell
a
me.
house man with no E. Yeah.
Exactly. So you see, I'm the floor man. You're the
I'm
house man. We're hanging out.
We're hanging out. You can find that documentary that you plugged a little bit on YouTube. That's Vice. If you type in Big Frida presents up and coming queer artists to watch out for.
Wasn't it how queer artists have revolutionized the music industry?
Yeah,
Is that what
that's
it's
it.
called?
It's had a
Or
few
no?
different names, but chrishousman.com is
right.
kind of the hub to get you the other places as well.
I look forward to your full-length record. Remember, you have your whole life to make that first record.
Yeah.
And here you are. You know who you are. And I know who you are, and we all do. And I love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
You can personally support this show simply by clicking the tip link in the show notes. The Just Keep Talking podcast is now available on all podcast platforms. Please like, share, and subscribe. Visit our website at justkeeptalking.com, our YouTube channel at Just Keep Talking Podcast, and Instagram at The Just Keep Talking Podcast. Thank you so much for supporting the Just Keep Talking podcast with me, Brother Love, because your story matters.